Welcome to the session, and we would like to start talking about a very important component of project management, human resource management. Think about it. When you start a project, if you don't have the right people, will you be able to deliver the project? If the people, there are not enough resources available to get the stuff going, will you be able to produce an Apple iPhone or a new product from Google or a new drug? You need good resources to get the project going. So that's why whenever we are starting a new project, it is mandatory to have the right resources lined up. Having the right resources lined up is not easy. We all know that. You cannot just call somebody and say, hey, are you coming on board? No. You need to know what type of resources you need, how many resources you need, where would they fit in. If you just get people and don't plan it well, it's going to be a mess and a chaos. It's very important that we have the right structure in place even before we start talking to people. So what roles they're going to play, what responsibilities will you give them, all that is important to decide what is the chart that you will have for the organization and what specific duties they will perform, so that they're not confused, they're clear about what it is. And then you go about getting people, and once you got these people, they know what the job is. You got a guy from Stanford University and he's a product manager, but if you're not able to motivate them, if you're not able to provide the incentives, and now again, incentives doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary incentive. It could be non-monetary as well. We'll talk about something called as Maslow's hierarchy, which talks about a fact that people have different needs at different times. So how do you motivate them? A good leader is one who understands the team, who gets into their world, and deals with them and works with them. So developing them is very important. And then on a day-to-day basis, managing the issues, the conflicts, the problems, the challenges with your team. So these are some of the skills a good project manager should have in order to manage the human resources that we have. So that's what, friends, this topic talks about, which is human resource management. And how you manage the human resource according to the PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMP, 5th edition guide, talks about more important issues in 4 major categories. They say the first thing is that you need to have a plan, right? Everything we need to have a plan. Human resource plan. A plan to get the right resources. Now, what is this plan? Elaborates. The plan is basically where would the people fit in. Let's say this is your organizational chart. You have a project manager here. Let's say you're doing a software project. You have 2 architects, and then you have some business analysts, some developers, some of them here on-site, some of them offshore. So on-site, offshore model of delivery is very popular these days. A lot of cost constraints with clients. And then some testing folks, testers, some database administrators or people to manage the database, because you cannot develop a software if you don't have a 3-tier structure, a database, a front end, and a middleware. So all these people, all these roles, people would be later. Right now we're making a plan as to what is going to be your org chart. And then you decide what are the roles that will be there. So this architect will be performing the following role, will be responsible for creating a particular output. So everybody is kind of, where do they fit into the big picture? That's what we're deciding here. So they will report to the PM. This person will have a BA with them, a developer, a tester. So friends, what we create is a RACI chart. What we call it is responsibility, accountability, consult, and inform. So what each role will be responsible for. Well, this guy architect here, John, is going to be responsible for the overall delivery of the program or the project, and will be accountable to the project managers. So can consult database person Mary and has to keep the, let's say, the sponsors informed on the day-to-day developments by a weekly report. So that's something like this when you create, and this what you get is actually not only this, you also look at networking. What kind of networking you need to find out what people you need. And what you get is a human resource plan, which also talks about a staffing management plan, where you're saying, how do we get these people? How many of them? With what skills? What responsibilities? How much knowledge? Once you make that, friends, your human resource plan is ready, and then you go about implementing that plan, right? So you say, let me now get people. So you say, acquire resources. What does that mean? Well, onboarding, right? Now onboarding, how do you do that? Well, there are many ways. The PMP talks about 4 important ways. First is pre-assign. So you already have this guy, Tom, who's working in a similar team, in a similar project. You get him on board and say, okay, you're pre-assigned to work with us. Or you're not that powerful, you go to the functional manager and negotiate with the functional manager saying, hey, can I have this guy Tom work on this prestigious project, So you negotiate to get the right people. After negotiation, then you can actually, if the guy says, functional manager, no, you don't have that here, then you go about getting it from the outside market. So we'll say you acquire it from external sources, right? Maybe a vendor, you call a vendor and say, hey, can I have a resource who has 10 years of experience as an architect level, having worked on different technologies. So that's what you try to get. After that, friends, if you're still not able to find, and this is just my story to make things clear in your mind, you can have a different story. What you do is you find them virtually. They work through collaborated, dispersed, diffuse teams, sometimes offshore teams as well. So these are different ways, friends, to acquire people or resources for your project. So that is the second process in human resource management. The third one there is, once you got these smart guys, you have to really watch and keep them happy, right? If they're not happy, you are in trouble, because they may not be able to give you the productivity that you're looking. So let me literally write here happy, because that's the key word here. Productivity is what we want. How do you get it? Well, you have this very beautiful plan, everybody where they fit in exactly, and then you got these guys, smart guys from Stanford, but what next? You need to motivate them, right? You need to give benefits. Of course, financial benefits work a lot when you talk about giving people incentives, etc. But more than that, can you motivate a team without building a team? So we talk a lot about team building activities. You will see that you train them. You set the ground rule. You say, okay, this is what I expect. You put them together. Yes. Co-location. Locate them together. Provide them training. Now PMP also talks about team building, which is a lot of effort should be spent by project manager depending where the team is, and build that team. Now Tuckman has given this model called about forming, storming, norming, performing, and journeying. So these are different stages, 5 different stages a team goes through to be more productive. So as a project manager, we have to understand where the team is and then create systems and solutions to help them, get an output and get a result. So that is some of the activities that we have to engage in, and keep everybody motivated and happy to keep their morale high, right? And we'll talk in this a lot about Maslow's need hierarchy and other stuff. And lastly, friends, you got these guys. So what do? You leave them and they just do work on their own? Not really. As a good project manager, you have to be there on day-to-day basis. You have to manage them, right? You have to be available, be accessible to them. A lot of project managers just keep sitting in their rooms working on Microsoft project and percentage complete and drawing these nice charts and just sending it to stakeholders, and they think their job is done. Your job is to be on the floor. The job is to help the team. Observe them what they're doing. Right? Talk to them, interact with them, participate with them. When you talk to them, you'll come to know of their issues. And then you don't run away from those issues, you actually solve those issues. So conflict resolution is a very, very important part of this, friends. When you start appraising their performance, right, you see there's an issue. So appraisal tells you what's going on. Appraisal again should be genuine, right? Not political the way it is in Fortune 500 companies. And then you say, okay, conflict management. Again on this, friends, this part, team building here and conflict here. A lot of questions on the exam. How would you deal with the problem? One is that you run away, which is avoiding. Second is you don't really solve the problem, you just smooth things. Third is you just compromise with the situation. No, as a good project manager, you solve the problem. You confront the issue. You collaborate with the team and solve the issues. So that is what the PMP philosophy is as a project manager. You do that. So these are the things, friends, you do, and you get a good team, you assess their performance, and you keep them happy and motivated. So these are some of the steps you will follow as part of human resource management to have a good system in place first, and then based on the system, get the right resources, keep them happy, and keep looking at their problems on a day-to-day basis and keep solving those conflicts and issues as they emerge. Thank you very much.